Hello, I'm Jacob. You're watching the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors, and today I want to talk to you about cast iron. Specifically about a comparison between your Lodge grade cast iron, old cast iron, and new premium cast iron. Now, if you're watching this, typically I do videos on survival tools, guns, survival skills, tactical stuff, etc. But as a prepper, I'm a person who really appreciates a quality tool, especially one that is versatile, and cast iron fits perfectly within that description. Now, like many people, I started out with my cast iron with Lodge, and I noticed one thing about all of the Lodge cast iron that I got. As Lodge collection of cast iron continued to grow, I realized that all of my Lodge products had a rough, sandpapery finish. And of course, I read online that the more that you used your cast iron and the more you properly seasoned it, that the smoother that it would get and the more nonstick that it would get, which is partially true. This is my 10.5-inch skillet that goes on top of this pan, so you can use them as a combo, and it has become considerably more smooth and nicer. However, it still didn't get as nice as this old cast iron skillet that I bought just because it was $2. This was going to be my camping skillet, and I was like, man, this thing is smooth. Again, I went right back to thinking it must be 100 years old, right? And just have a lot of good seasoning on it. Until I bought a Griswold. I'm in the process of stripping this down, sadly, still. I'm going to finish it soon, probably this week. But without the finish on it, without any seasoning at all, it is as smooth as butter. And that made me wonder, is there a difference between the quality of Lodge cast iron? And if it is a quality manufacturing difference, is there something better out there? Here's a little bit of my cast iron collection here. I also have a Lodge Dutch oven downstairs, and I have a huge, massive Chinese Dutch oven that I use for cooking for like 20 plus people as well. But clearly I enjoy quality gear. Led me to looking at Stargazer cast iron. This is American-made cast iron. And they made a post that caught my attention because it said that after you use Stargazer cast iron, you'll want to hang up your classic cast iron and use them as decorations, probably as they should be. You know, I like maintaining nice historical antiques and stuff. And you'll simply want to use their cast iron, and your Lodge stuff, well, you might just want to hang that outside. This is when I really started to realize that there was a huge potential quality difference between Lodge and premium cast iron, and there's also a difference between Lodge and a lot of the Chinese cast iron. We won't get into the Chinese stuff. Let's talk about the Stargazer cast iron. So this is my Lodge 10.5-inch skillet. Again, my most used piece of cast iron up until this point. And it's really going to be difficult to show you how smooth this actually is. But if you can go to a store and feel a typical Lodge cast iron product, this is much, much smoother. However, you can see the walls of the skillet that get less use and probably see a little bit less seasoning, still a little bit rougher, but they are still smoother than they were from the factory. So this piece of cast iron has been used a lot, at least every week, sometimes probably 3 and 4 times a week for probably 5 years now to get to this point where it is. And then you look at the Stargazer cast iron, and the finish on this pan is absolutely amazing. This will unquestionably become our primary cooking implement. And we'll just look at the finish of these, and then we will weigh them. But top to bottom, the Stargazer is just uncomparable. And you'll notice there's a huge height difference as well. I think that this Stargazer unit will be more practical for a larger degree of things. But interestingly enough, I believe that this is a lighter unit, might just because it has a better handle, but I believe that this is lighter despite the fact that it's much deeper. However, Lodge must have realized that these boutique cast iron companies are making high quality cast iron like the cast iron of old, because they've come out with a new premium line called the Blacklock, which I've heard, I have not found out yet, but I've heard it's still not nearly as good while costing nearly as much. Let's get done talking about this and let's go throw these two pans onto a scale and check their weight. All right, so the scale is zeroed. First up, our Lodge cast iron coming in at 5 pounds, 10.5 ounces. And our Stargazer, 5 pounds, 4.7 ounces. So about 5 pounds, 5 ounces. So let's look at the size difference here and the handle length difference. We've got our Lodge. They're both 10.5 inches, but the Stargazer is quite a bit taller. And the Stargazer has a considerably longer handle and more comfortable as well. Very nice. So it's a lighter unit, and you certainly feel it. And the secondary handle on the Stargazer is much larger and much nicer. Everything. Look at the crisp lines in every little detail on the Stargazer. It's unquestionably, it's more expensive, but it's unquestionably and undoubtedly the superior product in every way. And you are paying for that, but you get more than just the really nice finish on the inside. This one's dated 2019. So, there you go. So there you go, guys. I will do a... All right, he's being squealy. I will do a long-term, I'll do a review and a long-term review where we'll go more into reviewing this product by itself. However, it's just really great, and I thought it would be important to compare it. People look at the premium cast iron. It is more expensive, but they might not necessarily understand why it's more expensive. It is absolutely a superior product. On the flip side, your Lodge cast iron is absolutely a superior product to your Chinese cast iron. Your Chinese cast iron is typically much heavier, much thicker, and more likely to crack and fail when it's being used in a variety of ways. So part of what's fun about cast iron is, for me, as a kind of collector and an enthusiast of the things that I enjoy and appreciate, is learning about the cast iron, or learning about a product, maintaining a product. So one thing about cast iron is you want to season it properly, right? And by the way, if maybe you're on the edge about getting a nice piece of cast iron, maybe your wife says that they're a little bit too heavy, I promise you, if you start using cast iron, you will love it. You will want to stick with it. The weight is noticeable, but again, totally worth it. But you need to season cast iron. One of the people that has helped me learn about cast iron and get to the point where I am is Cast Iron Evan. This is his seasoning magic here. I'll be using this on that classic Griswold that I'm working on right here. But both Stargazer cast iron and Cast Iron Evan, who you can find on Instagram. I'll put a link probably in the description box, actually. I'll put a link to him, but they've been hugely helpful. When I've been learning about cast iron, learning about how to maintain it, how to strip it, Cast Iron Evan has been a huge help, and I found him through Instagram, and He sells this, but he also refinishes classic cast iron himself and resells it. So he learns a lot about cast iron, what works and what doesn't work that way, and also the differences in quality. And if you're going to start looking at picking up classic cast iron, which again is much lighter weight as a general rule than your typical Lodge stuff, and much better non-stick and much better quality in general, he is a awesome resource, and you can go wrong buying classic cast iron. There are brands out there that just weren't that good, and there are people who see the Griswold logo like that and charge way too much for it, even if it's more modern and not worth as much. So having a resource following someone like Cast Iron Evan could be hugely beneficial so that you don't pay too much and think that you're getting something that you're not. To wrap this up, I want to mention that although it sounds like maybe I've been banging on Lodge a lot here, I'm really actually not. I still like Lodge, and I wouldn't necessarily pass up a new Lodge product if they made something that I wanted or needed and the price was right. Even when talking to someone like Cast Iron Evan, who deals with higher quality cast iron, a lot of people have a lot of respect for Lodge cast iron because for people like me, they are kind of the gateway into cast iron. They are people's first experience with cast iron so many times. A lot of your cast iron junkies are still using Lodge stuff, and for the price and the availability, it's pretty good. You can do better on your own. Price-wise, if you are a little bit savvy and you want to find and restore cast iron. But man, if you just want to go down to the store and buy some cast iron, I believe Lodge has a great warranty and stuff like that. They're still great. I really appreciate Lodge for what they do for making mainstream cast iron and for kind of keeping this odd little segment of cookware alive. And they are clearly aware of the market since they're coming out with the premium stuff. Whether or not their premium stuff is, because it's quite expensive, is as good dollar for dollar as actual premium cast iron, I don't know. I'll have to find out at some point when I get some Lodge Black Lock cast iron. However, if you are into some absolutely premium cooking stuff, certainly check out Stargazer cast iron. There's a couple of other premium brands out there that I'm not as familiar with, but I do plan on getting a whole collection of premium cast iron because, again, they're so versatile, they're so valuable. These are things that people used to pass down for generations in their families. You get nice cast iron and it's so valuable. It's so nice. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about cooking and longevity. I'm tired of non-stick crap and replacing pots and pans every once in a while. We moved entirely to stainless, and we still use high quality stainless pots and pans fairly often, but we just don't enjoy cooking in them nearly as much as we do with our cast iron. Thank you for watching. Again, the links for Stargazer cast iron and for Cast Iron Evan will be in the description box below. I'll also have a discount code if you want to get some seasoning oil. Cast Iron Evan makes some really good stuff, and I can get you a little discount on it. And I think it's a good way to go. Just a low smoke, really high quality seasoning oil. Whether you are refinishing something old like this, or just maintaining and re-seasoning your existing cast iron, because cast iron does need to be seasoned and re-seasoned, especially if it's gone through a difficult cycle of cooking that was with low oil foods. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments section below, and I hope that you have a blessed day.